It's a gloomy Friday in Philly, but I'm trying to have a little fun. I asked you guys for some questions on Twitter and asked that they be fun ones. Some of you obliged. As always, thank you. Here's the first bunch. Realistic Carson Wentz contract extension. __years, ____ mil, blank, warranted, Zach, at Zach Illegals, April 5, 2019. Here's what I came up with. 5 years, $159 million, $100 million, guaranteed, $45 million signing bonus. Now, I'll show my work. This contract would give Wentz an APY of $31.8 million, the second highest APY in the league behind Aaron Rodgers, $33.5 million, and ahead of Matt Ryan, $30 million. I think there's a chance the signing bonus is slightly lower to allow for an option bonus somewhere in that contract. The Eagles have used team options a lot in recent contracts, and it might not be a terrible idea to have a kill switch on this deal, especially considering Wentz's injury history. Here's a look at Rodgers and Ryan's most recent deals. Rodgers, 4-year extension, $134 million, $98.2 million guaranteed, $57 million signing bonus. Ryan, 5-year extension, $150 million, $100 million guaranteed, $46.5 million signing bonus. Either way, he's going to be in that ballpark with Rodgers and Ryan. You can argue Wentz doesn't deserve to be based on his body of work, but he's going to get paid a huge sum of money and the salary cap rises each year. The current CBA is also scheduled to run out after the 2020 season, which could change everything and even possibly lead to an uncapped 2021. I know some folks have wondered if Wentz will take some sort of hometown discount like Tom Brady has for years. It's just unfair to ask him to do that, and would really be frowned upon by the NFLPA. When these kinds of deals are made, they set the market for other players. If the Seahawks redo Russell Wilson's deal before Wentz, it could potentially reset the market again. Are there any AAF players you could see the Eagles bringing in? Tim Delaney, at #. Timming, April 5, 2019. I was bummed to hear the news about the AAF, but I have to be honest, I wasn't watching it all that closely. I just thought it would be nice for there to be some sort of developmental league. The Browns are signing QB Garrett Gilbert, who was the one guy who came to mind first. Former Eagle Devontae Bosby also reportedly found a home with the Broncos. Charles Johnson from Orlando put up some really impressive stats while catching the ball from Gilbert. He had 45 catches for 687 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's a former 7th-round pick who bounced around several NFL teams since 2013. The problem here is he's already 30. Rashad Ross, another receiver, would have made some sense, but he signed with Carolina. Maybe former 3rd-round pick Demontre Moore. The pass rusher fizzled in the NFL but looked good with San Diego. Some character concerns with him, but he's still just 26, and for a test drive, might not be a bad option. What's the over/under for how many footballs Mike Trout gets from players this season now that he's staying in LA? KP, at Kylepin, April 5, 2019. It's gotta be 1/2 a football, right? To be truthful, I was never a fan of giving Trout all those balls. Find a kid instead. How many damn footballs does the guy need? I'm still all for Trout still showing up at games and sitting in his front row seats. No problem affording them now, but they can definitely stop giving him souvenirs. What % chance do you give for Donald Pumphrey to make the roster? My assumption is that he's around 6 on the depth chart before the draft. David Road, at David Road, April 5, 2019. Yeah, Pumphrey really is a forgotten guy. Let's start with the first part. You'd have to be right that he's 6th, and the Eagles have 6 on their roster: Jordan Howard, Corey Clement, Wendell Smallwood, Josh Adams, Boston Scott and Pumphrey. I don't like his chances, but I also think they're non-zero. There was actually a point last training camp where he looked much better and was even a possibility for that last spot on the depth chart, but then he got hurt. The problem is that I also think the Eagles will draft a running back this year, which would put him at 7th on the depth chart. That would be a huge jump and a lot of things would need to happen. But, for me, the only locks for the roster are Howard, Clement and possibly a draft pick. Is it completely incomprehensible that Pumphrey beats out Adams, Smallwood and Scott? No, it's just unlikely based on what we've seen so far. He could give them the element of a pass catcher, but Clement can do that, and so can Scott, who is already ahead of him on the depth chart. I'll give Pump a 6% chance to make the roster. Click here to download the My Teams app by NBC Sports. Receive comprehensive coverage of your teams and stream the Flyers, Sixers and Phillies games easily on your device. More on the Eagles. Eagles legends Mike Quick and Brent Selleck will be in Nashville on April 26, ready to announce the Eagles' Day 2 picks. A total of 64 legends and active players will announce picks in Round 2 and 3 of the NFL Draft. Round 2 picks are going to be announced by former first-round picks. Round 3 selections are going to be announced by later round guys. Quick was the No. 20 overall selection out of North Carolina State in the 1982 draft. Selleck was a 5th-round pick, 162 overall, out of Cincinnati in the 2007 draft. Both went on to have all-time Eagles careers. Quick made 5 straight Pro Bowls from 1983 to 87 in a shortened career. He's still around the team a ton as Merrill Reese's color guy on 9-4 WIP. Selleck missed 1 game in his 11-year career with the Eagles. Now retired, his last NFL game was Super Bowl 52, so Quick will announce one or both of the Eagles' second-round selections, nos. 53 and 57, in Nashville. For now, the Eagles don't have a third-round pick, but they could still end up with one, and Selleck better be ready. Remember, the Eagles didn't enter the 2018 draft in Dallas with a second-round pick, but they traded out of the first and then took Dallas Goedert in the second round. And David Akers was in it. Tough act for Quick and Selleck to follow. Also of note, Terrell Owens is scheduled to announce the 49ers' third-round pick. Here's a look at the rest of the NFC East legends. Giants, Carl Banks, David Tyree Redskins, Darrell Green, Joe Jacoby Cowboys, Ed Jones, Rayfield Wright. Click here to download the My Teams app by NBC Sports. Receive comprehensive coverage of your teams and stream the Flyers, Sixers and Phillies games easily on your device. More on the Eagles on this edition of Eagle Eye. Reuben Frank and Dave Zangaro discuss what level of competitiveness they have for parallel parking. Rube provides injury updates on some key Eagles. Despite linebacker being a need, how big of a need do the Eagles think it is? Also, Dave goes through his latest Eagles-only mock draft. 030 Dave had a podcast fan. He also received a weird tweet. 2 o'clock. Rube did a great job parallel parking on Wednesday. 6:30 updates on injured Eagles. 1300 a look at the linebacker situation. 2030 Dave's Eagles only mock draft. 34 to 30 football activities are right around the corner. Subscribe and rate the Eagle Eye Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, Art19.